Take an L. Take an L. The
Yeah,
Browns is a tough one.
yeah, it's honestly one of those games I kind of felt like no matter how close we were, right? I mean, we kept up with them through, the first 20 points, but I feel like we were never really in that game. I think, and that's a weird thing to say when you're, trailing by 1 point after a missed field goal, but I they just Matt Stafford just looked really good. The defense couldn't really stop anything. Um, Puka Nakua just tore our secondary up. Um, three receivers had three different receivers had a touchdown in that game. And the run game looked really good with Williams. Had 88 yards with average of 4.2. Was pretty solid. Not amazing, but yeah, I just felt like the defense without Denzel Ward just is a different defense these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of it was on the defense this week. I thought they did a pretty good job in the first half. I mean, they got stops. It was just not be able to put points on the board. Um, that secondary was getting chewed up on the short game from these little slot receivers.
Hmm.
Um, Puka Nakua did exactly what I thought he would do. um, it's hard to shut down a combo of Nakua and Cooper Cup
Yeah,
the way they tear up the middle of the field and get underneath defenses. Um, it and when the Browns rely a lot on their pass rush and they're getting the ball out in 2 seconds, it's really easy to pick apart a team like that. And
yeah,
you could see the hole in the secondary just from the nonstop injuries that we've had this year. Um, they were very evident on Sunday. Um, Browns really need Denzel back. As far as stopping the run, um, I mean, I thought that they did a good job of stopping the run in the first half, but in the second half, they just started playing complementary football on the offensive side of the ball for the Rams. They were able to start getting that run game going, and that pass game opened up. Um, but the one thing I would disagree with you is that I thought we were in the game most of the game, and it was kind of like the Denver game where we had our opportunities to win it, and the last 5 minutes were garbage points. Like
yeah,
we went from being down 1 point with the chance to win to losing by 17. Like it just
yeah,
just played out really weird. I thought Joe Flacco played pretty good. Um, I thought the run game was a little inconsistent.
sure.
I think Stefanski called another solid game. The only thing I really had an issue with it was um, that last drive where they had a 3rd and 1. They got a penalty. It was 3rd and 5. They didn't get the third down, so they went for it on 4th and 5. My problem is they still had like 5 minutes left in the game.
Yeah,
You gotta trust your defense. Like I get the idea of okay, they were playing pretty good, but you had 3 timeouts. Your defense is still one of the best defense in the leagues. In the league. So why not trust them? But instead, you put yourself in a situation where you go for it, you don't get it, and it was only an 8 point game at this point because this was coming off the interception.
yeah,
Um, so it was only an 8 point game, so you're still in it. Um, and you don't get it, and then they got garbage points on you. Um, it's a really unfortunate game because just like the Denver game, you had an opportunity to win. Um, I thought it was really dumb taking a shot downfield when you're down one and you just got a good stop on the defense on the
Yeah.
offense that was kicking your ass most of the game. Um, just taking that shot downfield was just really iffy on me. Um, but there was a lot to that play. Um, Elijah Moore was open, but Flacco had to reset his feet twice to throw that ball downfield. I mean, it was like a 60-yard pass, and I mean, they gave enough time for the safety to come over and pick that off. Um, so I don't know. I can't say I'm disappointed. I mean, it's never easy losing a game, especially when you think you deserve to win. But it's one of those ones that I was just kind of expecting, like not for us to win. Um, I feel a little bit better on us coming home and playing, and I think um, Flacco is going to be able to get it done at home.
Do you think Flacco is the guy going forward?
That's an interesting question. I saw that up for topic today. Uh, some sports radio stations and some sports articles. Do you go with DTR? Do you go with Flacco? Um, I mean, it's kind of tough to say because it's hard to take the job away from DTR, who really hasn't played all that bad.
Yeah,
Um, Still a lot to learn from him. Um, and from Flacco, I mean, he's an older fella. He knows the game. I
he
mean,
still
he
got the arm. That
he
arm
still
is
has
good,
the
man.
arm. He looked he looked pretty crisp yesterday. Like whenever something wasn't there, he threw it away. But that's the
Yeah,
problem. Like when he knows there's not a play, he has to throw it out because he doesn't have the physical ability
agreed.
to extend the play. And that's where DTR kind of gives you an edge. And it's like DTR didn't really lose the job. He got hurt,
Mhm.
and we were just down to our fourth quarterback.
Yeah. I think of the throw that was in such a tight window and it was so accurate was the pass to Harrison Bryant,
Oh
right in
yeah,
the center of the field where I mean it hit him right in the numbers, right here, and it couldn't have been a better throw, and he threw many of those throws that like yes you don't get the scramblability that DTR would give you, but also with DTR you don't get the precise ball that you would get in tight coverage that Joe Flacco will give you. So it really is kind of, who would you rather have by the different skill sets that they provide. Um, I I have a hard time saying let's go with Flacco, but I have a hard time saying let's go with DTR, and that's why I don't get paid the big bucks. And that's why Kevin Stefanski and staff are there trying to make this decision now. That's a tough one, but I will say I think I might rather prefer Joe Flacco in this game coming up here um, against Jacksonville. But that's for later on in the week. And what I mean about I never felt in this game is that we were in the game and I felt that, but the big thing for me is I never felt confident in that we were able to pull it off if we were at a deficit. And that was the one big thing is where we kept moving the ball, um, but like we weren't getting in the end zone enough, even in when we needed to when we're in near the red zone. I feel like there's some plays that were really left out there that kind of sting, but if I'm just gonna throw out some stats here, read off the stat list. Man, Joe Flacco was 23 for 44. I mean, throwing the ball 44 times from coming off of the couch basically. Well, it was kind of a lot, but I mean, 254 yards, two touchdowns, and an interception. Those are pretty good numbers. Those are really good numbers for this is your first game back. Um, I'd love to see what happens. Is it, if they give him the job or whatever they decide to do, we'll see what happens. Um, but Kareem Hunt, 12 carries, 48 yards. He had majority of the carries actually as our number one back, with Jerome Ford getting uh, 9 carries for 19 yards. I'm not sure what's going on there. Um, I don't know if there's an injury that we haven't heard about, but it didn't look great. And he's the one that kind of got blown up quite a bit in the backfield. Uh, but then we see 2 carries from Pierre Strong with 20 yards. So that's basically 10 yards a carry. I think he played really well. I mean, he's got explosive legs. And when he hits a hole, he can really make you pay. But receiving, obviously, Mari Cooper is in the concussion protocol. And as we talked about like this past week, so you're basically looking at missing a game with that. So that's unfortunate. But Elijah Moore, four catches, 83 yards, looked really good. Harrison Bryant, 5 catches, 49 yards. Um, Amari with 3 catches, 34 yards. I mean, the ball was really thrown around and they all played really well. And like I said, I felt like they were just actually catching it. And there's a couple drops, but nothing like it was in the past weeks. Um, but I feel relatively confident at this point with Joe Flacco if we went that route. But said DTR, I also feel confident in that, and I think what I'll kind of I'll back them either way, whoever they go with. But yeah, I think we need to kind of balance those carries out a little bit more and continue to run the ball. Um, it was a good game, but I do feel like we should have. I don't even know what should have we done. That's the thing. It's a hard one to say this is what we should do at this point in that game because it was a game that the defense, like their offense, just found wrinkles in our defense. They exploited it just like Denver did, and then we just couldn't get in the end zone when we needed to. Um,
Uh,
I mean it's simple as that. And they just play better ball at the end of the day.
well, I think there's two things that you need to do. It's not one, not turn the ball over, and two, stop with the stupid penalties. It's about discipline, and this has been the theme for the last couple losses. If you go down the list of all the games we lost, it comes down to penalties and turnovers. And now, I mean, usually in an NFL football game, you turn the ball over, and you lose the turnover battle, you lose the game. If you have more penalties than the other team, and especially more crucial penalties, like a 40-yard pass interference, that can lose you games.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean, it's real killer. I mean, it's you're literally shooting yourself in the foot.
yeah. It's like Cedric Tillman not lining on the line of scrimmage. Like that basically broke the drive.
Yeah,
Um,
or moving the football again.
Posick on 3rd and 1. Yeah, and he had the same call last week, remember?
Yes. So I mean, twice, 2 weeks in a row, it kills an opportunity to get uh, a first down on a third and short. Now
Yeah.
it's 3rd and 5, and then you don't get it. Then you go on fourth down. I mean, you're only making the stuff more difficult for you. Um, it's just real boneheaded plays costing you games. I mean, there's not a game this year other than the Baltimore game that I felt like we were beat by the other team. Like reality, did the Browns play well enough to win? Yes. Um, but they also did a lot of things that lost them the game.
Sure.
Um, I mean, there's nothing to take away from the Rams. The Rams, I think, played a pretty damn good game. They did what they were supposed to, but they had to play that good of a game to beat the Browns. Just think about that. The Browns had to make errors to lose that game.
Yeah, yeah. And
I mean, seven.
there's
I,
one thing you can rely on for the Browns, they're going to make those errors.
right, but for a team that's fighting to get in the playoffs, I mean, you can't be doing this shit this late in the season.
I know.
Um, I know it's an uphill battle. You got a lot of new guys in and out. You've had four different quarterbacks in. It's it can't happen. And we've seen the last 2 weeks of how crucial that can be. I get that it's not that big of a penalty this week, but it might cost you 2 weeks from now when you know, maybe you don't get the win against Jacksonville. Uh, maybe you don't get
Yeah.
that win against um,
Bears. Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, because really, we went from 7-3 to 7-5, and now we have this whole different idea, right? We're thinking like, wow, 8-3 looks really good. Well, now it's like, oh man, dude, like 7-6 would be terrible. I mean, Jacksonville's playing super good ball right now, and we're one win above 500,
I
and
I still think that magic number is three. That magic number is three, and that's going to be tough.
yeah, I mean, I agree. It's it just yeah. At this point, I mean, I really do think. I mean, Jacksonville is a good team, but I do think that if we just play good ball, and that team just cleans up some errors, that it's every game's winnable. It's just that what you do on that field, it's like penalties, pursuing and actually being able to get a touchdown goes a long freaking way. Like yes, getting a field goal is incredible, but I mean, there's so many times where I'm like, dude, that could have been a touchdown drive easily, 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 and just mistakes, man. But it happens around the league every freaking week. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, we need to start stacking wins, stop stacking losses, because that's how you lose and get out of the playoff picture. And just that classic Cleveland Browns saying is there's always next year. And I'd rather not start talking about that way because this team's good, man. This team's really good. A lot of talent, and I think that we have the coaching in place, to do well and be successful. It's it just really, and I feel like midway through the season we started to come together, but then just injuries continue to plague us, and we're slowly losing that grasp of what this team was, just their identity.
Yeah,
Um, and I think that's also say a person like David Njoku looking around the locker room, it's like, man, like everyone that came into the season with her, a lot of them are hurt, and you're becoming that leader. And it's just one of those things where, you know, some people just need to step up, but also some people are like, hey man, like, this is new to me. Um, and a lot of these teammates are new to me, knowing them and seeing them midway through the season. I mean, Joe Flacco, you got to learn how to catch a ball or learn how he throws, 13 weeks into the season is, yeah, it's head scratching, but
I
makes
mean,
sense.
I mean, I mean, that's just scratching the the surface on that. I mean, like
Yeah,
the timing on routes. You know,
exactly.
even
It's a deep one. Yeah.
the rotation on the ball. Like that's one of the most underrated things to talk about when it comes from about catching footballs from a quarterback. It's just every quarterback's got a rotation on the ball. It might be a little different. Some throw with a lot of spin. Some throw like basically like a knuckleball. Um, it's just kind of hard to tell. And I mean, just getting to know everyone, know how everyone likes, what plays and where to put the ball.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
lot of nuance that goes into it, and you really can't get that in 2 weeks of being on a team.
right.
So, but I mean, other than that, man, I mean, that's basically it, right? I mean, there's nothing else you can say about this game that we haven't said. All we got to do right now is just look towards Jacksonville and finally be home.
Well,
And
the good thing is Pittsburgh lost,
that's
and that gave us a lot of space. And currently, the game for Jacksonville is tied 14-14.
spicy.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, on that note, thanks for watching. Um, Go Browns,
Go
and
Brown.
we'll see you in a few days to cover the Jacksonville game.
God damn.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.